One of my nephews now is 10 years old. And years ago, about 5 years ago, we were hanging out and we were planning a whole trip to the park. And so we were sitting there and we were saying, I was setting up the whole day, like, okay, we're gonna leave my house around 11:45. We'll get there about noon. It's only about 7, 8 blocks away. We'll get there about noon. You know, we'll play on the slides, play on the merry-go-round, if you can imagine it. We'll, you know, do the teeter-totters and do all that stuff. And about 12:45, we'll sit down, have a nice lunch, chit-chat a little bit, have some fun. And then about 1:15, you know, we'll settle, go to the pool, lay out a little bit, splash around, have some fun. And then, so I had the whole day planned out. So off we go. You know, I have my picnic basket with stuff, and I've got blankets and everything, and I'm ready to go, and off we go. And so 1 block later, you know, his name is Tony, and 1 block later, Tony sees, you know, this big patch of sunflowers over here to the right. And so he runs over there, because, you know, as a 5-year-old, everything's new, right? Everything's fascinating. So he runs over there, and he starts sniffing the flowers and playing with them and pedaling them. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm just watching him and also watching my watch, making sure we're on my schedule. And so he pulls one of the flowers out, and he starts, if you can imagine it, pedaling, you know, and petting the petals and smelling the deep brown core of the flower. And, you know, 5 minutes later, you know, he says, okay, Uncle George, let's go. And so off we go, but it wasn't another 2 blocks later. Off to the left, there's a pond of ducks, just kind of quacking around and playing around. And so Tony, being really curious, runs over there. He says, Uncle George, give me some bread. So I give him some bread, and he starts picking apart the bread, throwing it at the ducks, and, you know, the ducks are eating out of his hand, and he's just laughing and having a ball. And I'm kind of enjoying it, and then there's a part of me that's like conflicted because, you know, we're not on my schedule. And so, you know, I say, Tony, we got to go. He's like, hold on, Uncle George. It's about, you know, 5, 10 minutes later, off we go. But it wasn't another 2 blocks down the road that he saw one of our neighbors were having a birthday party, and the theme was clowns, and so the clown was making balloons, animals, and things like that. And Tony runs up to him, and he says, can you make me a balloon dog? Can you make me a balloon dog? And so he makes him a balloon dog. You know, he's sitting there twisting it and turning, gives it to him. Tony's kind of playing with it. And 10 minutes later, he's like, okay, let's go, Uncle George. And I'm like, so I'm huffing and puffing, moving forward fast, right, trying to get there on time. We're already 10 minutes late. And so it wasn't another block later, he sees our friend selling or giving away puppies. And it's a litter of about 8 different little brown mutt puppies. And he runs over there because he hears the yelping, right? He picks one up and he starts petting it, and the puppy looks up at him and he licks him in his nose like that. And, you know, I'm looking at my watch and I'm frustrated. He says, Uncle George, thank you so much. This has been the best day yet. Yeah. And my frustration dropped. I dropped my picnic basket, and I learned a really powerful lesson in that moment. What was the lesson?
Live in the moment, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, live in the moment and enjoy the journey.